Good afternoon. Today we are going to do a PD on guided reading, the road to success. It is for us to visualize and see the importance of guided reading. I'm going to show you the outline of the professional development session. Our target area is elementary teachers K through 5. It isn't a 1-hour session, but because of so much depth into the guided reading and so much information on it, then we are going to just cover the main topics, and we're going to follow up with model lessons, some observation in some classes, webinars, and PowerPoints. The purpose is to meet the very instructional needs of teachers who want to implement guided reading into their language arts block. Outline. We are going to do an introduction to the guided reading through the PowerPoint that we are going to do. Define what guided reading is. Why, what, and how of guided reading. The reading requirements to fully implement the reading groups. Materials needed for reading group time. Then we're going to break into PLC groups for each grade level. Encourage our team to participate. Brainstorm ideas for centers and stations, and introduce a discussion board. So if you have any questions, there's a discussion board. We can post questions, and then we could get them answered by the end of the PD today. When we took the needs assessment survey, do you remember that kind of back a couple weeks ago? The most needing assessment, or the most needing PD, was focused on guided reading. Right here, guided reading was 100%, and maybe because that's the focus that we are going to be doing as a school and as a district, and many of us are kind of concerned of, we know how to teach reading in a small group, but we want to make sure that we have all the components that we need to teach guided reading. As there were other the most common topic was guided reading, closed reading, English language development, which ELD, but guided reading by far was the professional development training that you guys wanted the most. So the new curriculum has a lot of leveled books, but we still don't know how exactly to use those leveled books. But through the guided reading training that we are going to be going through the PD, we'll show you a little bit of strategies on how to implement guided reading and how to get it started. The purpose for guided reading is to meet all teachers' instructional levels of reading, implementing guided reading into the language arts block, increase interest and enjoyment of student reading in books and books that they enjoy at their level, so that they're able to read the books that they are able to comprehend and read. Okay? And at the same time, teaching them new reading strategies. What is guided reading? Well, guided reading is a teaching approach designed to help individual students learn the process of a variety of increasing challenges text in their fluency. Sometimes they read books that are not at their level, so that they are struggling, so their comprehension is not really there. Sometimes they read books that are too easy, and then sometimes books that are too hard. So it all depends on what books they're reading, but during a guided reading lesson, you are monitoring what they're reading and books that are at their level. Okay. Guided reading requires small group instruction, small group of 4 to 5 students who share the same instructional need and reading abilities. Each student has a copy of a text that are leveled. Teachers introduce the text, observe the students as they read, taking running records and seeing and retelling the story, and teaching new strategies throughout the guided reading lesson. Okay. What, why, and how of guided reading? What is it? Why and how? Teachers support reading for texts that are student instructional level. Teachers observe students' behavior during the reading. Teachers discuss the reading comprehension strategies as inferencing, synthesizing, and analyzing. And that comes from Fontes and Pinel, who are really really, really good experts in researching on guided reading. The why, reading will tell students to develop and use strategies for independent readers. Students will gain confidence in their reading ability while they will be reading books at their level. And that's what we just talked about. The books are not too easy, not too hard, they're just at their level. How? It will improve fluency. The focus is reading rather than decoding. Many of us students, they just sound out every word. So by sounding out every word, they're struggling with the reading, not really understanding what they're reading. So if they focus on their level, then they're able to decode very well. Okay. How are groups formed? Using the data that we've been doing through running records, fluency test, AR, which is a star reading, which determines their Lexile level, then we become familiar with what level they are at and what Lexile level they're at. The books that are leveled for our curriculum have the Lexile level, so we could match what level they are from the AR or from a running record to see what level they're at. So it adjusts the group level, so adjust groups often. Teachers need to become experts in forming and reforming groups to allow the differences in learning that are evident to students. And again, that's from Frances Epinel. And the most important part about leveling group is that we have to make sure that we are constantly changing the level. We don't want the students penciled in forever in that group. We want them to be moving up into the levels. And by doing running records and assessing the students, using the data, regrouping, and that's what levels are, groups. Form groups of 4 to 5 students who are reading around the same level. Teachers are seated around the students. Each student has their own text. And that's the most important part. When the student has their own text, then when they sit down, they're able to read their book by themselves as the teacher listens to the story they're reading. Then when they're